Today I'm going to be talking about the fuel source biodiesel. What is biodiesel? The United States Department of Energy defines biodiesel as a renewable biodegradable fuel manufactured domestically from vegetable oils, animal fats, or recycled restaurant grease. In other words, it's a renewable energy source that involves using energy from plants and animals to power things we depend on for everyday life. The history of biodiesel. Biodiesel was not founded at a specific time, but some notable points in its introduction to society were in 1937 when it was formally discovered by Georges Savon. Also, another noticeable accomplishment was Rudolf Diesel, who invented the diesel engine. Some sources of biodiesel include soybean plants, canola and palm oil, sunflowers, animal fats such as beef tallow and poultry fat, in addition to waste cooking oil. Now you may be wondering, how is biodiesel produced? The main production of biodiesel is called transesterification, but there are four main processes. First, feedstock collection, which is the collection of the sources of biodiesel. Then, pretreatment, which is the filtering and removing of impurities and adjustment of the acidity of the oils. Next, transesterification. The main step is when oils react with an alcohol, usually methanol, in the presence of either sodium or potassium hydroxide. Finally, the last step is purification, which is removing excess alcohol, glycerol, and catalyst residues. The role of biological processes in biodiesel. The oils used for biodiesel are able to be produced because plants go through photosynthesis. An example is soybeans, which go through photosynthesis and produce soybean oil. Cellular respiration consumes some of the glucose made via photosynthesis, allowing the plants to grow and have a natural lifestyle. Biodiesel can be seen in today's society through retail stations such as fuel distribution and truck stops, government policies such as state mandates that require petroleum diesel to contain a certain percentage of biodiesel, and commercially in public transportation, agriculture, and heating. Impacts on carbon footprint. Biodiesel has both positive and negative impacts on carbon footprint. The combustion and production of biodiesel does release CO2 into the atmosphere, meaning it does have a small carbon footprint. However, the carbon emissions from biodiesel are much less than emissions from other non renewable energy sources. Also, the plants used to produce biodiesel previously absorbed CO2 during growth for photosynthesis, canceling out some of their net carbon emissions. The economic impacts of biodiesel include supporting rural communities, creating jobs in agriculture, farming, and providing sources for the production of biodiesel, helping reduce the dependence on imported fuels, promoting American made fuel sources. In all, the efforts used to promote this fuel to the public are government sponsored campaigns, fuel advertising, and environmental benefits. My analysis on biodiesel is that it is a reliable source of fuel to a certain extent. It has a positive impact on the environment because of its limited carbon footprint, and there is a lot of evidence that it supports the US economy. However, biodiesel should not be our primary source of fuel, as it is not the most reliable source of energy, and more research needs to be done on the effects of the large scale production. Finally, a plan of action I would implement would be to shift towards sources of biodiesel that are not food, which would limit food waste. I would also propose more research to be done and more testing to determine sources of biodiesel that produce the least amount of carbon dioxide when used for biodiesel. And these are my works cited. Thank you.